everyone. So we're here, and it's Rosh HaShanah. High holidays begin, and definitely it's different. And so we're on Zoom by now. I hope that we all know how this works and how it is. We'll have our service and our songs, everything on our screen, and you'll see us on the Bima in a minute. You'll also see those leading the service for us this evening. You'll see Hal and Richard and Ilana and Joel, and oh, there we are. It's the magic of Zoom. Thank you, Barnaby, who's the one making this possible, and Olive at home. So this is going to be a different service, but it's going to be the same because it's the same as always, as every year. We're going to sing the same songs, the same prayers, and we also will do this just like we always do, with lots of participation from everyone in our congregation. Some people will be participating actually live from home. Some send recordings ahead of time so we can have them too. And we hope that this will be a meaningful service, that you cannot come here. We go there to you, to your home, and let's enjoy it. So, Shana Tova, everyone, and we'll begin singing as we always do. We'll sing Matavu, and I'd like to say a word about Matavu. This is a quote from Torah, and the short story is somebody was given or charged and asked to give a curse to Israel, and the words were turned into a blessing. Matavu, how good it is. So does it resonate with us, getting curses and turning into blessings? This is the year particularly to have that in mind. So we'll sing Matavu, and let's keep that in mind, that we can do just what happened with that story. Take those curses around us and turn them into blessings. So please join us. As I said before, some of us will be leading our service from home, and it's our pleasure to invite now Sally to unmute yourself and turn your video on, and please lead us in this meditation and reading before we light our Shabbat and holiday candles.
What does it mean to be a congregation? It means to care about each other, pray. We can also pray alone, by ourselves, but we come together as a congregation in order to share in our lives as Jews, to be part of the community of Israel, past, present, and future. Lighting our candles, we are united with Jews in all lands who, week by week, as has been done for thousands of years, celebrate our God-given gifts: creation, freedom, and community. Kindling these lights, we now consecrate this time to joy and appreciation, to nurture our spirit, and to affirm our connection to our people and our tradition.
Thank you. So let us join lighting our candles and join us with the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu
May these lights, symbols of hope and peace, bring warmth to our hearts, love to our families, and blessing to all. And before we continue singing, thanking God for being here, just a reminder that this is Rosh Hashanah. We are at the service in Shabbat, and so I'll invite you, like always do, to rise sometimes, to sit. You don't have to do it, but if you want to, please do so. So I'll be still inviting you to rise in different moments in our service. We have the mitzvah of being thankful and recognizing the good, and particularly recognizing the gift of being here one more year. And we are here, alive, sustained, and arriving at a time of joy. So let us sing Shehecheyanu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
תקיינו בשופר והכסל יום הרגנו כי הורה ישראל הוא משפט לאלוהי יעקב.
Blast the shofar on the new moon, on the full moon for our feast days. It is a law for Israel, a rule for the God of Jacob. And I'll invite you also to join me like we always do in a responsive reading. We have come here on this holy day to hear the prayers, to hear the music. Judaism begins with the commandment, "Hear, O Israel." But what does it really mean to hear? The person who attends a concert while thinking of other matters hears, but does not really hear. The person who walks amid the songbirds thinking only of what will be served for dinner hears, but does not really hear. The person who listens to the words of a friend or mate or child and does not catch the underlying note, "Notice me, help me, care about me," hears, but does not really hear. The person who stifles the sound of conscience saying, "I have done enough already," hears, but does not really hear. The person who listens to the rabbi's sermon and thinks that someone else is being addressed, hears, but does not really hear. The person who hears the shofar and does not sense its call to change, hears, but does not really hear. As we begin a new year and enter a holy day, we pray for the strengthening of our ability to hear. May we hear the music of the world, the sounds of life. May we hear the wordless calls for help of the saddened spirits. May we hear between the words of our friends. May we listen to the calls of conscience, so we hear our fellows' unspoken pleas, hopes, and dreams. And we're now open the Arona Kodesh for Baruch Hu. So this is one moment where I'll invite you to rise, if you please, at home, and join us for Baruch Hu. Baruch Adonai mevorach leolam vaed. And it's my pleasure now to invite Ed Levy from home to lead us on this reading. Please unmute yourself and get your video started, and please lead us.
To open eyes when others close them, to hear when others do not wish to listen, to look when others turn away, to seek, to understand when others give up, to rouse oneself when others accept, to continue to struggle even when one is not the strongest, to cry out when others keep silent. To be a Jew, it is first of all that and further, to live when others are dead, and to remember when others are forgotten.
Continue, and again, we'll do this reading responsibly. You're invited, please, to join us from home. We praise God, source of life, sovereign through time and space, which summons the coming of the evenings, opening gateways with wisdom, varying and alternating the seasons with reason, setting an order for the stars as they travel through the skies, creating day and night, rolling light away for darkness and darkness away for light, making day pass and bringing on the night, establishing distinction between day and night. Source of all forces is God's name, a vital and abiding power, constantly ruling over us forever. Praise are you, Adonai, the boundless one, bringing on the evenings.
Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari Paravim.
Amen. And at this time, we sing of Ahava, of love. Please join us for Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Bet Israel, Amha Torah u'mitzvot, u'kibbutz b'tim, otanu b'ma'aretah. Elokeinu Adonai Eloheinu, Eshakeinu u'kumeinu, Nasiach u'keicha. Liberate Torah Techa, u'mitzvotecha, le'olam vayeh. Ki ken hayenu be'orech yameinu. U'ba'er
atah tashimenu yolamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Amen.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Leolam Vaed.
If you were standing all this time, this is a time to sit down and please join us. Words of Torah, Ve'ahavta. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך ובשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם. And before we sing these very, very ancient songs written by some water by a group of enslaved people who found freedom, we're going to hear these wonderful words of somebody else right here, very close to us, who also find inspiration for freedom in these words. And it's my pleasure to invite Stephanie from home also to lead us in these words from Reverend Martin Luther King.
There is something in the very nature of the universe which is on the side of Israel in its struggle with every Egypt. There is something in the very nature of the universe which ultimately comes to the aid of goodness in its perennial struggle with evil. Evil in the form of injustice and exploitation cannot survive. There is a Red Sea in history that ultimately comes to carry the forces of goodness to victory, and that same Red Sea closes in to bring doom and destruction to the forces of evil. This is our hope. Let us not despair. Let us not lose faith in man and certainly not in God. We must believe that a prejudiced mind can be changed, and that man, by the grace of God, can be lifted from the valley of hate to the high mountain of love.
Thank you, Stephanie, and let us now join with these words of Torah, Mi Chamocha.
Mi Chamocha Elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nehar Kodesh, Noah Tehilo Osei Felech, Malchutecha Ra'u Vanecha
ahavat olam. We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by an unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love. Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. And we'll continue now with Kaddish.
Yikada, vayikada, shmei rabba.
Amen.
V'yamar divrei rute, v'yamlech mahute, v'hayechon, uvyomechon, uv'chayei dekar beit Yisrael, v'agav zman karev v'yamru. Amen.
Yehi shmei rabba mevorach, ve'olam olam me'almaya yitbarach.
Yibarak, v'yishtabak, v'yipa'ar, v'yiromam, v'yinaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalach, shemei kudusha b'richu, le'ela, me'emkar b'chata v'shirata, tush b'chata, v'nehemata, tamiram v'yama, v'yemru. Amen.
So we're now ready to rise for the Amidah. We join looking towards the east here, towards the Aron HaKodesh. You're welcome to also rise at home. Find that east corner in the house, and this is how we all orient ourselves towards the same place, towards Jerusalem, towards our ideals, and join us for the Amidah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el, Hagadol, Hagibor, Vehanora, El Elyon, Gomel, Chasadim tovim, vekone hakol, vezocher, chasdei avot veimahot, umevi geula, livnei bneihem, leman shmo be'ava. Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim. Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim. V'chod beinu b'sefer ha'chaim. Lemancha, Elohim chaim. Melech chozer u'moshiach u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כל אתה, רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני העפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע. מי כמוך ברחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אמן. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Amen. Let us be seated, please. And to continue with the Amidah, with our praying and with our reflecting, it's my pleasure to invite now Marshall, also from home, to lead us the head of the year. So why don't we all join, and Marshall will join with us. The moon is dark tonight, a new moon for a new year. It is hollow and hungers to be full. It is the black zero of beginning. Now you must void yourself of injuries, insults, incursions. Go with empty hands to those you have hurt and make amends. It is not too late. It is early and about to grow. Now is the time to do what you know you must and have fear to begin. Your face is dark, too, as you turn inward to face yourself, the hidden twin of all you must grow to be. Forgive the dead year. Forgive yourself. What will be wants to push through your fingers. The light you seek hides in your belly. The light you crave longs to stream from your eyes. You are the moon that will wax in new goodness. And for Rosh HaShanah, especially, we recognize the holiness of this moment, also with thanks and with blessings for a good new year. Eternal God, you empower us to know your ways of righteousness. We have been granted just laws, truthful teachings, rules and mitzvot that are good for life. And please join me. You have endowed us with seasons for joy, sacred occasions and festivals for generosity and gratitude. You bestowed upon us Shabbat holiness, the dignity of set times, our opportunities for celebration. We have been lovingly given this day of Shabbat and this day of remembrance, a day of shofar blast, a sacred gathering, recalling our exodus from Egypt. Adonai, may you remember us this day for well-being. Acknowledge us with blessing. Grant us the fullness of life. May this day of remembrance be a time for deliverance and well-being, for grace, loving kindness and compassion, for life and for peace.
Zachvenu Eloheinu B'Tova.
Amen.
Ufagdenu V'Livracha.
Amen.
Hoshenu V'Lechayim.
Amen. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, not everybody can be here, but we made it happen, and we have now a video for this beautiful player, Retze, and so Lisa and Ilana are leading us, and please join us singing. And we have here a beautiful reflection for a moment like this, a moment of an end and a new beginning, a day of Shabbat, a day of Rosh HaShanah. This is from Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan, and it's great to have Lisa Thompson sharing this and leading us from home. Lisa, unmute yourself and share your video so we can all hear you.
Hello, I did. I don't know what to say. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Shana Tova, everybody. I miss you, and it's very lonely here by myself. An artist cannot be continually wielding the brush. The painter must stop at times from the painting to freshen his or her vision of the object, the meaning of which the artist wishes to express on canvas. Our holy times represent such moments when we pause in our brushwork to refresh our vision. What am I working for? What are we building? What will I leave behind me? We look for a moment of clarity when we envision ourselves at our best and see a picture of you and me, of all, living a good life together. Then we turn back again to that unique work of art which each one of us is making, our life, with our choices. If we can resume our painting with clarified vision and renewed energy, then our prayers were answered.
Thank you, Lisa. And when we just entered Bet Shalom today, outside, our garden is beautiful. And so everything you planted and worked so hard all these years, it's growing beautifully. Hopefully you'll be working in our yard again soon. May we be remembered and inscribed in the book of life, blessing, peace, and dignified living. We and all your people Israel, for a life of goodness and peace. בספר חיים, ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה, ניזכר וניכתב לפניך, אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל, לחיים טובים ולשלום.
Baruch atah Adonai, Osei HaShalom.
Amen. And to conclude the Amidah, let us enjoy this beautiful song. This is from the book of Psalms, Ihiu Laratzon. Each week, every Shabbat, we always include this prayer, and this is a moment for us to think of all those who are in need of healing, all those who need healing of body, of spirit. It's also a moment to be grateful and thankful and appreciative of all those who are working so hard for so long to make sure that there's healing, and to also be reminded of our responsibility in making sure that we allow that healing and we stay healthy. Thinking of all our loved ones, all whom we know, in our neighbors, our community, let us join for Misheberach.
souls in need of healing, with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And we'll now invite you to rise. We here are going to open the Aron HaKodesh and join for Avinu Malkeinu, just like we do every year. Seth is going to lead us in the singing of Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chakol aleinu, V'yahol aleinu, V'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Dever, Becherev Herav, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kotzar, Umashtin, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kohaneinu, B'Sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
And let us join. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Our source, our sovereign, we have sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, show compassion to us and our children. Our source, our sovereign, make an end to sickness, war, and famine. Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to all oppression and hatred. Avinu Malkeinu, let our wrongdoing be forgiven. Our source, our sovereign, restore us in wholehearted repentance. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of merit. Our source, our sovereign, inscribe us in the book of good life. Avinu Malkeinu, renew us for a good year.
Avinu Malkeinu, Aleinu, Aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Aleinu, Aleinu, Ki en banu ma'aseh, Aseh Malkeinu, Anenu, Anenu, Imanu Masi. Asei Imanu, Sedaka Mahesed. Asei Imanu, Sedaka Mahesed.
So let us all be seated, please. So, one day, God summons all the leaders of all religions and having them together says to them, that's it, had enough with you people, I'm bringing a flood, and this time it's going to be in 3 days, and everything is going to be covered by water, and there's no changing, there's no repenting, there's no fixing this. 3 days, and everything will be covered by a flood of water. Then the Pope summons everybody in the church and all the leaders and says to them, okay, people, we have 3 days and to try to do acts of charity, and let's hope that recognizing Jesus, we might go to heaven. The Muslim community gathers together and says, people, we have 3 days and everything's going to be covered underwater, so let's spend these 3 days fasting, reading our scripture, and may Allah have compassion on us. The Jews, the rabbis all get together and they say, all right, people, we need everybody to start working. We have 3 days to figure out how we will live underwater. Now, this is not really a joke about Jews or Christians, but it's about a universal flood, this time not of water, but a virus is covering us. How do we face it? And if you remember, first, we doubt or deny, no big deal, it's not gonna affect us, gonna be over soon. And then we switch to fear, which is a very reasonable thing to do, but also very unreasonable fear. Remember when we were hoarding toilet paper like crazy? And then we realize that we can't really just pray or wish this away. We can't just wait until it's over. Don't take me wrong, this pandemic will go away, but first, it's gonna be here to stay with us for a while. And so in this virus universal flood that we're under, we better do what those rabbis said. We better figure out how we're going to live underwater. Our key job is to find how we will continue to live our lives, but with adjustments. Now that the toilet paper situation is resolved and we figured out, and now that we have the knowledge to know how to stay safe and do everything we need to do, we have, I think, a unique task for us. And the task is to also figure out how we're not going to lose our community life, how we are not going to give up on our connections to each other, our connections to our tradition, to our tribe, to our Jewish values. Now, there is some good news, actually. And the news is, as you can see maybe today, with some hiccups, but we're figuring out how to live underwater. In the past 5-6 months, we had bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs, and we passed Torah from generation to generation. Every week is Shabbat, and we gather here. We even have an oneg after the service in breakout rooms. We had Tot Shabbat, where we interact with the kids and even play games together, everybody at home, some of us here, and we still do what we do. We have about 30 households, I will say, that get together every Monday morning to do exactly that, live our Jewish life. What do? We study, we discuss, we learn from our texts, from each other. This group has been meeting for well over 17 years, every Monday, every week, without interruption. If that's impressive, think of the group of the Jews who have been doing this same thing without interruption for 2,500 years. You thought we were going to let a flood stop us? We're not. Now, actually, we even can do other things that we couldn't do. When it was a rainy day and you couldn't come to services or have to get out in the cold, well, now you can do this from home. Those who couldn't drive at night or couldn't leave the home, now you're part of a community. So there's some good things that we're doing. And one thing that particularly makes me feel very good is that we started our Sunday, our religious school again. And of all the children and of all the families that were last year with us, everyone is back again with us. And everyone is engaging. And our teachers work extremely hard finding new, engaging ways how you teach and how you instill this love for who we are online and through a camera. And our kids are learning. They're also learning how to cheat and turn their monitors off so that they can take a break. And this is normal life. We also have book club meetings, got culture planning, men's club, we had speakers. We have watched movies and discussed them together. Even we had over a dozen people doing gardening and keeping our grounds this very week. So we are living through a flood, but we're not drowning. We're diving, we're swimming. We're figuring out how to live our lives underwater. But COVID aside, these are difficult times for our country. There's a lot going on. And we know this. I'll just mention the headlines. Systemic racism, racial injustice, growing economic gaps, still unequal access to opportunities, many Americans that cannot live with dignity. Life getting better for the very, very few and harder for most of us. And this is a time when actually Jewish values, who have been used and tested in 3,000 years of history, actually guide us and help us. So even in these days of underwater, we are applying our Jewish values. While all this COVID was happening, we grew our alliance with churches, mosques, and we are now over 42 different congregations just here in Wake, in One Wake, this organization where we actually, through Zoom, were able to break the record of citizen engagement in local government, Wake County commissioners, Attorney General, the Office of the Governor, and we engage with all of them, with chiefs of police. And some of you did this also. And what you did a few months ago actually was not just being on Zoom, not just talking to these officers, but actually we secured millions of dollars to be dedicated to avoid evictions and to support all those families that without our presence, even through Zoom, without our advocacy, many of them will now be homeless in a pandemic and homeless. We have our One Wake core team. Hal is one of these people, making phone calls so we get out the vote and help people really speak our minds and vote our values and our principles, because we need that. Some of you may have received those phone calls. We stand together and Jews and Christians and Muslims and people with are atheists or religious and black and white and brown and Latino, all of us, we're a wonderful coalition, and we actually strengthen it through this time of COVID because we all agree we can stand up for justice, for dignity for all. And we can do it, even now, even socially distant. So this Rosh Hashanah, I have an invitation for you, and more than invite you, I urge you to do one thing: not give up. Don't give up on our relationships. Don't give up on our values. Don't give up on our beautiful traditions. Don't give up on our allies and neighbors who need us and we need them. Now, Rosh Hashanah is a day to be honest and self-assessment. So I want to be honest with ourselves. Yes, there is a lot of us who are engaged and literally keeping everything alive and doing all these wonderful things that I mentioned before. Just to have a service like today, there's the people who spend countless hours making sure that we have the equipment, that it works, that Zoom is managed, that prepare videos. The amount of people that are being engaged, our president, our lay leaders, our school director, Lynn, our teachers, so many who have stepped really up and stepped into this situation. But there's not only good news. There is also what I would call a silent undercurrent. And it's all over Jewish America. And it's here too. That's undercurrent that says, well, maybe we can spend this year without a congregation. Maybe we can get together as we used to, so we can get everything we want online, and we can always tune in and log in to whatever it is from any part of the world. And sure, we miss the connections, we cannot have them now, so we'll take a break. We'll take this year out. That's happening all over America. It's happening here. So I want to speak to you directly and honestly, as we should on Rosh Hashanah. I feel the same way. I miss the onyx. I miss having this congregation and seeing everybody and getting the energy from everybody. And I miss being here on a Sunday morning where I can see little kids running out and into class and high-five them, and even see the ladies playing mahjong, which I never played, but it looks like great fun. I miss the opportunity to just catch up with each other, see where are we in our lives, what is good and what is not good, and all these things that is the wonderful life that we created here. I miss all that, and we shouldn't deny, and I can't deny, the feeling of loss that we have now, because we can't really have all that. But I also feel, and I know, that this particularly is not the time for giving up. This is not the time to sit by the sidelines, not the time to take anything we care about for granted and hoping it will be there when I come back. Neither as Americans, as neighbors, or as Jews, we cannot simply sit this one out. There's so much at stake, and so much at stake right now. It'll be a sin, a true sin, not to be engaged now. Charlottesville, we saw neo-Nazis marching in America, singing "Jews will not replace us," to be followed by shooting in the Tree of Life synagogue. Hate crimes on the rise, and yes, hate crimes against Jews are on the top of the list, rising every year for the last 4 years. Jewish stereotype conspiracies all over the internet, treated sometimes by people in government. These are not times for any Jew to be a spectator. This is a time to be with your team. This is a time to be within your team and for your team. So let's be clear. For us, Black lives matter. Anti-Semitism matters. Poverty, lack of equality around us matters. But, there's a but. They only really matter if you are in, if you are engaged, if you are part of the effort of the solution, and if you're part of the hope. Remember Noah's flood, the real one old flood of water? Well, we're here, so we did overcome that one. We Jews especially could claim the title to be the ultimate overcomers. Because think about it. Try not to think about it all the time, but let's think about it now on this day, like today on Rosh HaShanah. We have overcome literally the worst: exile, destruction, pogroms, plagues like this one and worse, and plagues like this one blamed on us. Persecution, racism, a Shoah. How did we overcome all that? I think it's because we had the strength and wisdom, and we had the heart to figure out that the one thing we cannot do is give up. Actually, I fear that this is one thing that we may not overcome as Jews, is people giving up. People taking Jewish life for granted. It'll be there when I want to come back to it. When people leave our religious schools unsupported by the community as they always are, because my kids are older. When young Jewish families feeling the squeeze economically and for other reasons deciding, well, I don't need to be part of anything now. Or people saying, yeah, I've been there, done that, I'm out now. That kind of giving up, I don't know that we will overcome that. So we cannot do this. We cannot have people finding a comfortable way out, staying by the sidelines. I shared many times with you in the past how usually it's Friday at 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. and I've been here for the last 16 years, so there's many of those Fridays in those years. And in some Fridays at 6 p.m. I feel great. Some Fridays at 6 p.m. I have not felt great. And sometimes they had a great week and some had a very bad week or sad week. And comes Friday night and it's 6:15, and sometimes I'm not with all that energy to say, let's go to services and let's go do the prayer and let's go do Shabbat celebration. But of course, I'm a rabbi, so I get in my car and I'm here. And the beauty is, and I experience this time and again, is that once I'm here and we have our guitars and our pianos and our singers and our leaders and our kids and the oneg and all that we do, by the time that is 9 p.m., I'm in a different place. I feel elevated, literally, because I feel supported and I feel that I was supportive. And that's a beautiful feeling. And it's a feeling that I get just because I showed up, because I was there, and because you were there, and because we were there. So this is what I hope that these high holidays, even with the distance, this is what I hope these high holidays will do for us. That will give us an opportunity to come as we are under huge stress. We were talking about how many different stresses we can choose to name now. We're under so many pressures, worries, tired, but our getting together, our singing, are praying, are reflecting, are connecting, are seeing each other, are engaging, are speaking up, that will be something that will lift all of us up. Now, Rosh Hashanah, high holidays are not magic. For us to be lifted up, well, we also have to step up. So I hope that this new year will be a good year when we will actually keep very strong those bonds that connected us and connect us and will connect us. That we keep doing exactly whatever it is that we Jews do, that we keep living our life, underwater or no water, despite the challenges, that we continue to speak our values, particularly now and here, very loudly, to make a difference out there because it's needed. And then we will make this a new year, a year of overcoming, staying together, lifting each other up. Now, the final comment is, as you know, on Rosh Hashanah, we said a few minutes ago, we'll say it again through these high holidays, we hope and ask to be inscribed in the book of life. Well, this year, it couldn't be any different, could it? The book of life is actually online. Yeah, it's on the cloud. Now, you will receive actually an invite from me, hopefully Monday, and where you can see the book of life of Bet Shalom, where you can see, actually in your email, the book of our community. You will see it's a short book, not that short, but tells about our life, about the things that we do with each other and for each other. And there's a long list of things that we do. And this is the catch with this book of life. God will not inscribe you in it. In this book of the life of our community, of our congregation, you have to sign up. And so you will get that invitation, an actual book of the community, and I hope to see your names filling up those pages between now and Yom Kippur, because this is how we'll lift each other up and make everything we do and believe and feel and think and want really matter. May this be that year. May we recognize the call of this moment that we're living as Jews, as Americans, as citizens, because we are called in so many ways to step up in our families, in our congregation, in our community. Let's hope that we have the wisdom, the heart to do this and do this together. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova. And we'll resume with our service. We'll begin to our concluding prayers in our service. And for that, I'll invite everyone to rise at home if you wish. For Aleinu, we'll rise and face the Aron HaKodesh. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. And let us also join with the reading. Aleinu, it is our duty. Ours the duty to listen, ours the duty to praise, and ours is the duty to respond to what we hear, to raise questions, and to build houses of study in which to ask them, to praise the God of eternity for every hour we have, for every day, to praise Torah as we act in response to the challenges of Torah. Ours the duty to do justice, ours the duty to be Israel, to repair the broken, to open doors for all, to bow before the commanding power that says, it is not your duty to get all the work complete, but to remain committed to and engage in it.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו
And let us please remain standing. As you know, we recite the words of Kaddish to remember loved ones who are no longer with us. And as we miss them, we think now with gratitude of all the wonderful gifts that they gave us through their presence, and with words of thanks for their lives, let us bring their memory with Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחי יכון וביום יכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשא בריחו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו amen. Let us be seated. We have a final song, and today being Shabbat and Rosh HaShanah, it's a song of welcoming our better angels, a song of shalom, of peace. Before we sing Shalom Aleichem, I'd like to remind you, many of you will be joining already tomorrow morning for the children's programs that begin at 9 or 9:30, depending on the age. The rest of us will be here tomorrow morning at 10, full Rosh Hashanah service, Torah chanting, Haftarah, the sounding of shofar. So we hope to see you all tomorrow morning, and some of you I will see on Sunday morning, on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, the day of creation, where we will be in our backyard and celebrating nature. And Shana Tova, everyone. Let us join for one more song, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malaki Yashareh, Malaki Yom, Melech, Malaki Hakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Elohim Shalom, Malaki Yashareh, Malaki Yom, Malakei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ahuri Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Melech, Malakei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zenim L'Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
please join us for Kiddush. If you have your cup of wine or your favorite drink or whatever brings you joy, let's grab it and let us join. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam boreh pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol העם ורוממנו מכל לשון וקידשנו במצוותיו. ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה את יום השבת הזה ואת יום הזיכרון הזה, יום תרועה באהבה מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש השבת וישראל ויום הזיכרון. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. שנה טובה, שבת שלום, לחיים.
לחיים.
And before we go, let's make sure this year is sweet. Apples and honey. יהי רצון שתחדש עלינו שנה טובה ומתוקה. May be God's will that we have renewed for us a good and sweet year. שנה טובה. Come get your honey.
Let's do this again.